Okay, sorry for the delay on this one. As you know, I have a full-time IRL job and we had some fires to put out this morning, but I'm back and ready to break down update number 2 from Arrowhead, targeted squarely at what has to be the OG strat weapon back when the game launched, the Railgun. Welcome to the channel. This is 𝙏𝙃𝙄𝙎, and the announcement itself was quite short, but the implications are enormous for what this weapon should be able to do. So for today, we are laser focused in on the Railgun. Thanks again for your continued love and support for my Helldivers content. In case you haven't done so already, make sure to hit subscribe. It's free, and it really helps out the channel get noticed in the far corners of YouTube. And while you're at it, take a few seconds more to ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. And here is the latest from Arrowhead as we dive into reveal number 2 as they attempt to save Helldivers.
System of failure.
Skipping over the Superstore reset for today because it's ultra important to get into this Railgun announcement and do so with as much speed as possible. But I did want to backtrack for just a sec, and I want to cover the current major order as we are now at 4 of 6 successful defenses over in Bottsville, and we also, by the way, hold Ember, which is actually in a defense campaign right now. So if we finish that one up, it'll be number 5 of 6. Now, the likelihood that we will finish this one up in its totality is very slim. But with Helldivers, there always seems to be a way to get it done. Also, if you want an easy 15 medals, today's daily or personal order is to successfully extract from a mission 3 times. So just dive in, do your diver thing, and make it out, and you're going to pick up those medals. And good luck on both the major and daily orders. But now we need to talk about the Railgun. Coming to us on both Discord and Twitter, the official Twitter account had this to say, quote, "The Railgun's damage will get a boost to durable damage will be increased from 60 to 225, and fully overcharging damage will be increased from 150 to 250%. All right. Just like yesterday, Arrowhead has a short video for us to watch, and then we're going to dive into the Railgun rabbit hole on the other side.
My name is Johan 𝙏𝙃𝙄𝙎.
And I'm 𝙏𝙃𝙄𝙎.
Today we're diving into the patch notes of Helldivers 2. What have we done to the Railgun?
We booted it up again. The Railgun does a lot of damage to normal enemies. It didn't do that much to very large enemies. So we kind of quadrupled that from 60 to 225 in durable damage.
Okay.
Just in safe mode, it will be stronger. Normally, if you charge it up like close to full, you did 50% more damage. Now you'll do 150% more.
Does it still have the same overcharge time as before?
Yes.
A little look behind the scenes before we talk to X's and O's of the Railgun came from Johan yesterday morning when he posted this to the official Helldivers Discord. "Hey, I see a lot of people commenting on it taking long to do a numbers change, etc. And while it's true in isolation, the update that we are launching now is a much larger holistic take to realign the gameplay." Listen to this next statement that Johan makes, though. He says, "The reason why so many of you found excitement in some tools, such as the flamethrower, railgun, eruptor, etc., we realized is because they could deal with heavily armored enemies much more effectively than they were supposed to, according to how the weapons were portrayed. Therefore, the changes we needed to make were a bit larger than just getting the flamethrower back to where it was, but also getting other weapons up to the level that where you and I feel they all should have been from the start. The game experience of this update will be much more substantial in how you play. More tools will be varying degrees of effective, and specialized tools will work much better against their intended targets. Basically, the game will feel a lot less frustrating if you don't have the specialized tools." I want to backtrack for just a sec back to this part where Johan says, "Found excitement in some tools such as the," listen to these examples, "flamethrower, railgun, eruptor," because they realized it was because they could deal with heavily armored enemies much more effectively than they were supposed to according to how the weapons were portrayed. So the reason those weapons he mentioned were, again, the flamethrower, railgun, and eruptor, dealt with elites so quickly is because they were actually bugged at launch. And as far as I know, Arrowhead went and nerfed all 3 of these weapons into the ground instead of first tackling those game-breaking bugs. What was bugged, Buzz? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's the examples. First off, the railgun was strong at launch. I mean, I'll give you that. And we liked it because it was strong, but there was a one-shot instance floating around out there involving a PS5 player hosting the session. And if they did, the railgun had the potential to one-shot Bile Titans. Now, it still involved you hitting the target in a general area, but it was there, it existed. And then we got that first balance patch that crushed the railgun. Example number 2, the flamethrower was able to cook the vulnerable parts of chargers, i.e. their legs, behind the armor, effectively ignoring if the target had armor or not. So Arrowhead changed the way fire and flame effects are affected by armor, which we saw that deployment just days before the last warbond arrived. And finally, the eruptor, which was just sweet back in the day with all that explosive and shrapnel damage, but it could pop chargers underneath their bodies and one-tap them. So what happened? I'm going to sound like a broken record here. Arrowhead completely removed shrapnel from the game because also, in case you didn't know, the launch version of the eruptor was using the same shrapnel values as an orbital barrage, but still, it was super cool. And as Johan says, it was effective at killing elites. Okay, for this next and final portion having to do with the railgun, and this is where durable damage comes into the fold. And by the way, I'm going to do this completely unscripted as I'm a little time sensitive right now. I'm also going to do my best to keep it short and concise. There are 3 kind of enemy parts or enemy armor damage modifiers you need to know and understand in Helldivers 2. The first and easiest is unarmored enemies. Things like shriekers, hunters, pouncers, like the underbelly of a Bile Titan, even troopers over in Bottsville. They don't have armor. You know, you can shoot light armor pen weapons at them and do maximum damage. Those are easy to understand. The next are armored enemies. These come in 3 tiers, light, medium, or heavy. And at this point, you need to have a little bit better understanding to the inner workings of how enemy armor damage works in the game. It's important for you to know that the weapon that you're shooting at that enemy can actually penetrate the armor. First up are enemies with light armor. These are things like the nursing spewers, maybe the Devastator head, the Hulk heat sinks, maybe the Brood Commander head. Those are all things that you can shoot with a light armor pen weapon, and you're going to be penetrating the armor and doing damage. Next up are medium armor targets, things like the Factory Strider undercarriage. So you can run up under there with the Commando or the autocannon rifle and just absolutely go ham underneath a Factory Strider and down it very quickly. Other examples, the Hive Guard head. You see plenty of those around. Maybe the Annihilator tank, you know, the heat sink on the back of that. Also, larger targets like the Spore Spewer and Shrieker's Nest. Those are all medium armor ratings. And finally, for the purposes of our railgun discussion, we also need to mention heavy armor rating enemies. These are the elites. We all know them. We love them. We hate them. Things like the body of the Hulk, the cannon turret, drop ships, the head of the Bile Titan, all 4 corners of the charger, by the way, head, legs, side, and back, and even the Bile Titan legs, which require even more enemy armor pen. These are all listed as heavy armor ratings here in the game. For this next part, please forgive me if I get any of these stats incorrect. It's been forever since I've looked up anything to do with enemy armor penetration values on the railgun. But if memory serves me correct, it's a level 5 on safe mode. So that meant it matched up beautifully, I'm speaking of the railgun, versus things like the body of the Hulk, drop ships, Bile Titan heads, and 360 degrees to do with the charger. That's the head, legs, sides, and back all have an enemy armor rating of 5. So you had a 5 on the railgun in safe mode, a 5 on all those enemy armor types I just mentioned, and that's why it did so well versus those targets. If you went into unsafe mode, you pushed that level 5 enemy armor pen. I believe it was up to level 7. So it would just outclass any armor rating you encountered in the game. Okay, so at this point, we've covered unarmored enemies, things like shriekers and hunters. We've also covered armored enemies, and of course, In this specific example, we're talking about chargers. But finally, we also need to talk about what that major, almost 4 times buff that's coming to the Railgun is, and it has to do with durable damage. So what is durable damage? Well, it's this third, let's call it enemy damage resistance category that Helldivers 2 has baked into it, and it's not displayed anywhere in the game, so you don't know it's there. Let me explain it to you through the use of a few examples. Let's say that we're shooting at an enemy body part that has a durable value of 0. That means that it doesn't require any durable damage values on our weapons to inflict damage on it. It'll just take all that damage via our standard weapon damage output. Conversely, if we're shooting at an enemy part that has a durability value of 100, it's going to take 0 damage from our standard weapon damage output. It's going to require that hidden stat, that durable damage value, to inflict damage on the body part that you're shooting at. And it's significantly less than what your weapon damage value is. Now, what about if there's a mix? Let's say you're shooting at a body part that has 50 durable damage. Well, that means it's going to take 50% of the standard damage value that your weapon shows, and it's also going to take 50% durable damage from that hidden stat that you can't see on your weapon. This is why when you're shooting at, say, a charger's butt, it's completely exposed, there's no armor, you think you should be inflicting maximum damage because you're shooting it where the armor is not. It's actually requiring that you have as much durable damage in order to inflict damage on that charger's butt. Your weapon damage is irrelevant at that point. It requires high levels of durable damage before you can actually blow the butt off a charger. And kind of wrapping it all up here, that is why the durable damage increase coming next week on the Railgun from 60 up to 225 is going to make this weapon absolute beast. Yes, it should still be able to penetrate armor on level 5 if my stats are correct, but that durable damage, if you can hit those bile spewers on the sides, the big sacks on the back, or maybe, you know, the butt of a charger, your durable damage output is just going to be off the charts, which is going to down these enemies super quick. And so hopefully that explanation wasn't too drawn out. Hopefully you can understand it in there. We have unarmored enemies, we have armored enemies, and we have this hidden durable damage value in the game. And I think that's where the Railgun's really going to excel. But as always, I want to read your comments and feedback about these Railgun changes. How is it looking to you? Is this something you're going to equip and bring into a mission? Remember to hit subscribe and ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. All my socials, including all sources used in today's video, can be found down in the video description. Shout out to the we're nearly there, 243,000 subscribers here on the channel. Each and every day it goes up, and 250K is nearly in sight. If you haven't yet taken the plunge, we'd love to have you along for the ride as we make that push up to 250. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer signing off.